Hey there, budget conscious foodies. Welcome back to Nina Says, where we dish out practical tips to help you save those hard earned euros without compromising on flavor. And stick around to the end because then we'll have a bonus tip that's quite unusual, so you probably would have thought about it. So today I'll be speaking about 7 proven tips on how to reduce your food expenses without sacrificing the joy of eating. The first tip of the day is plan your meals. I cannot say this enough. If you plan your meals, let's say in the beginning of the week, then you know exactly what you will be needing. So when you go to the shops, you should also have prepared. This is kind of a second tip within the first one. Look what you have in your fridge, then do a meal plan for the whole week and adapt it. And then you go to the grocery store with this list. This will make it very easy. You will gain time on it. And also another tip I have here about doing your grocery list. I generally have an Excel sheet where I have a grocery list because every week there's certain things that you will see you're always buying. For me, that would be like yogurt, milk, coffee, those kind of things that you know. So they're always on your list, so you don't have to kind of write them down again. And then for every week, you add, for example, if there are any other vegetables that you will be buying or anything, meat, fish, or anything like that, then you add it. So it's when you get used to doing this, it's much quicker to prepare your list. But also then when you're in the grocery shop, it's quite easy just to go through the different alleys, get what you need, and then just get out of the shop. So you don't buy anything unnecessary when you're in the grocery shop. So I mean, this is quite easy. Look in your fridge as well and see what you already have. So you don't buy something that you already have and then come home and then you have extras of it. You haven't used it up. And then in the end of the day, you might be wasting it because you'll be throwing it out. The second tip is quite easy as well. You need to think about where you're doing your grocery shopping. Are there other discounts, for example, that are cheaper? Here in Europe, we have like Aldi or Lidl. I think that exist also in the US. And in certain countries, there are other discounts. So maybe look around because I'm sure that sometimes the same items could be found in another shop, but for a much cheaper price. The third tip that I have today for you is buy in bulk. You can Buying in bulk can be a real game changer. Capitalize on the magic of buying in bulk by stocking up on pantry staples like pasta, rice, canned goods in larger quantities, and then you'll be able to benefit from the prices that they have for these large quantities that you might be buying. However, think about, buying non-perishable items to be able to benefit from the interesting prices that can be offered for larger quantities. This is quite interesting as well if you have a family. I think it's easier as well because it's items that you might be using up in a quite short period of time. However, when you buy these items, do think about looking at the expiration dates and storage recommendations so it's not something that you'll need to throw out early on. So this is quite important as well. But if you look at the expiration dates, generally, I mean, rice, pasta, those kind of things, they hold for very long times, then you'll be able to have cheaper prices and you'll be very happy about that. So, tip number 4 is also about where you are shopping your groceries. For example, think about buying from the local farmers, but also turning to seasonal and local fruits and vegetables. You can see on the internet there are lists, for example, to know when you should buy apples or pears and when carrots are in the season. And when these items are in season, then they're much cheaper than others. So, of course, you shouldn't be buying strawberries in December, depending on where you live, of course. But in general, for example, in most of the European countries, strawberries are not growing in the winter. It's more like in the June, July. And this can also slash your grocery expenses. So, tip number 5 is about being strategic with your leftovers. So, when you have eaten a meal on the evening, and there's something left over, try to use this for the next day. For example, you had chicken, then the next day you'll use it in a chicken salad. So, transforming leftovers into new and exciting dishes can be quite interesting, and you'll be using everything up. This is also good when you're looking at when we spoke about, for example, the bidding about doing a grocery list. Then think also before you do the grocery list about what you have in your fridge, what can you use up in other ways before adding something to your list. So just get creative with your culinary skills and try to breathe new life into yesterday's meals. I mean, this does not only prevent food waste, but it also adds quite a lot of variety to your diet. And this can be really fun. I mean, it could be fun looking up once again on the internet. You can put in what kind of groceries you have in your fridge, and from there you'll see what you will be able to make. So tip number 5 is about limiting your dining out. So this depends on how often you eat out. Of course, let's say that you're eating out 3 to 4 times a week. Try to limit that to once or twice. So I'm not saying that, stop having fun, don't go out, don't meet your friends. No, not at all. But just limit maybe the number of days or times you're eating out per week. And then also maybe think about how you're eating when you go out. You always have drinks, you have a starter, you have the meal, and then you have a dessert. Is that really necessary? If you really want to reduce expensive and still go out, then maybe don't have the drinks or don't have the dessert, or switch it up a little bit like that. And also, I mean, of course, a great way of meeting your friends could be meeting together at home and cooking together. Everyone brings something, and that, of course, will also be less expensive than eating out. And of course, this also goes for your takeouts. So if you take out less per week, of course, I mean, you'll be so surprised of how much money you'll be able to save. So tip number 6 is about cooking in batches. Save time and money by cooking in batches. I mean, prepare large quantities of meals, and then what you can do afterwards is freeze them in portions. So this is really good. For example, let's say one day you're doing some stew. This is quite easy. Instead of preparing a stew for 4 or 6 people, you do a double batch. So of course, if you've bought like maybe meat at a less price because you're buying in batches, and then you cook it, and then you also have food available for several days, not to eat for several days in a row because that's kind of boring, but at least you have like a week later you can take out some more. And if you do this, you just kind of need to prepare maybe on a Sunday, take out a couple of hours to do several meals, and then you don't have to think about it every day. Then you just have to kind of take out the meat or the fish or whatever you prepared, and then you kind of only add vegetables. So with this, you do not only spend less money, but also you're able to save a lot of time as well. So it's kind of a win-win situation in several ways. So tip number 7 is about utilizing cashback apps and loyalty programs. So try to make the best of cashback apps and loyalty programs that are offered by your local grocery stores. Keep an eye on discounts or special offers that will help you to maximize your savings. Of course, this depends quite much on where you're living, what kind of programs that they have, but this is also a very good tip to have a look at it every week. What items are being discounted, and then buy those items or maybe buy more of them that week. So we've come to the end where I said I'll give you a bonus tip, but I think that I probably thinking about it, I have several bonus tips in fact. So one is, of course, when you go shopping, do not go to the grocery shops when you are hungry. When you're hungry, you just tend to pick lots of unnecessary items and things that you just want to eat quickly, and often less healthy things as well. So think about when you go to the shop, don't go there hungry. And also, it's quite good if you shop during off-peak hours. So if you try to hit the stores during off-peak hours, that would be generally early mornings or late evenings on weekdays, then the shops are generally less crowded. So not only will you be able to go through the aisles more efficiently, but you also see discounted items more easily because there are not as many people in the shops. And you'll also see, some shops also they mark down certain items that come near to the expiry date just before they close. When shopping is less busy, it reduces the likelihood of succumbing to impulse purchases. So this ultimately helps you to stick to your budget. And last but not least, you can also grow your own herbs. I think this is really cool because I mean, you don't need to have an outside garden. There are these small herb gardens that you can have inside. It will add freshness to your dishes, but it's also a very cost-effective way to enjoy flavored herbs without constantly buying those pricey bunches. I always have like basil because I like doing also pasta dishes, and I really think that the basil is mm, beautiful. So I have the basil, for example, in a large flower pot. It really grows. If you take care of it, you put it close to a window which has quite much sunlight, it grows beautifully. So these were the tips for today. So I really hope that you liked and enjoyed this. And if you have any other tips, please put them in the comments section below.